our new notebook. So when you go back to your home, you'll click Create New Notebook, and this is the interface you're going to see. So off to the left, you'll see the sources, and this is where you add your information and where it's captured. In the middle, this is your chat interface where you saw me a few minutes ago talking to the chat that's collecting the information. And then the studio. And we're going to go through the studio one by one in these elements so I can explain to you exactly what that does and how you're able to use it. So we're going to go over to add sources. One thing I will note is the type of sources you can add. So you can type in a question or you can type in a directive of what you need to see or what you need to research, and it will start pulling that information. Now, the quality of your sources is dependent on the prompt. So if you put in a lot of people who do that database work will know the saying garbage in, garbage out. So if you put a weak prompt, most likely you're going to get weak responses back. The better the prompt, the better the resources. So we'll come back to that. You can also upload information. So people who are doing research, if you have articles that you have to read for class, things of that nature, you can upload those directly into your notebook. You can also put in web URLs or YouTube videos, which that's a newer option. When NotebookLM first came out, that option wasn't there. You can access your drive, your Google Drive. This is a Google product, so that interface capability is really, really easy. And then you can copy and paste. So those are the different ways you can pull your information here. And then back up to the top where we're going to do a search from the web, you have fast research and deep research. So fast research can give you up to 10 sources. So it's really quick. It's meant to be a quick overview of the searching of the web based on your prompt. Your deep research is going to go deeper. It's going to take longer and you're going to get a lot more responses back. So if we go into the first prompt, I'm going to ask provide. So I'm asking it to pull information about what are the pros and cons from working from home for staff specifically. And I asked it to give me peer-reviewed articles, and I asked it not to go past 2020 as the date. So it was able to give me 10 sources. So what I'll do here is click import. And what you'll also be able to do is just because it's giving you those articles does not mean you have to keep it, right? So you want to look to see what was returned. And if anything doesn't look like something you want to be in your notebook, you can go over here to the three dots where it says more. You can remove that source. Or if it's easier to name them certain things, you can rename the source. So as you can see, these are all of the articles that returned. Now, if I wanted more, I would have clicked deep research and I would have got much more. But for time of this video, we're just going to stick with fast research. So once the fast research is done, it's going to give you a nice summary of those 10 sources. Now, that doesn't mean you have to stop there. If you want to add more sources, you would just come back over here, click add sources, and have at it. One thing you'll also note is the studio has woken up. So when we first opened the notebook, all of these were not accessible. Now they are because you have data. So think of it as you just uploaded all this information into a coworker that now you're going to be able to ask questions about. So it's going to give you some questions to start out with. But if those are not something that you are interested in, you can just start typing here and ask your own questions. And it's only going to access the sources. So that's an important piece of the puzzle. By doing this, it cuts down on a lot of hallucinations. And for people who are not aware of what hallucinations are, they're basically when you're using an AI agent or bot that goes out into the the Netherlands of the World Wide Webs and pulls data that A, you might not have requested, that might be incorrect, or they just don't return a response that's aligned with the question you asked. So because you're asking specifically from the sources you have and nothing additional, it cuts back on the hallucinations. So as you can see, those are the three questions, but I want to see, is there any high level impacts? So I just asked, is there any high level type of negative impacts that's coming from the sources? So what it's doing now is going to access all the sources. So just think about the time being saved, right? You don't have to go and read each of those articles. You find them, see if they are what you're needing, or that's the data bank you want to pull from, and let your unpaid co-worker do the rest, right? So it just dropped down a good amount of information here about what are those impacts. One thing too, you probably sometimes it changes or updates the title of your notebook on its own, but sometimes you'll have to change it. So like right now, you just go there up there and you click it, and I can just put WFH. Like, and now it's going to change that notebook to WFH, so I know what that is. So another thing you can do is once you get a summary, say you want to save this. If you click Save to Note, it generates that note over here. So you can change the name of this or you can keep it the way it is so you can come back and access it. Because one thing you have to be aware of when you come over here and you want to have another stream of thought with the sources, so you want to clear the chat you've had, you can go over here and click delete chat history and that note is gone. That interaction or that stream of thought is gone. So if you didn't save it, you're going to lose it because you can't go back to get it. Another thing that's neat is with that summary, say I want to make it a source now so I can refer back to it when I ask questions. You would go over here and you can convert it to source. If you have multiple notes, you can convert all the notes to source. You can also export it to your documents or sheets, both of those Google applications. So now we're going to jump over to the studio and what this does. So you have an audio overview, right? So I'm going to go through each of them and explaining what that sounds like. So your audio overview really is like a podcast. This feature generates a podcast style discussion between two AI hosts that summarizes and analyzes your material. You can custom the output by selecting specific formats. What does that mean? Some of these you'll see a little pen icon here. That means you can make adjustments or requests on the output. So when we go to the audio overview, you'll see the format you can choose from is deep dive, brief, critique, or debate. You can choose language, right? You can make it short or you can make it long. You can also put in if there's something you want the podcast to focus on. Since it's going to be accessing all your source information and building that podcast from all that source information, you can go over here and type in specifically if you want to focus on a certain thing. So as you can see, Deep Dive is two lively AI hosts going back and forth. Another cool thing with Deep Dive, you can join. It's interactive. So if you're listening to the podcast, you can click interactive and you can ask in real time a question of that information and it will be included in that podcast. No joke. You can do a bite-sized overview. You can have a critique, and this could be helpful for individuals in school or just want somebody to play devil's advocate with, right? Or helping to find some holes in a plan. Like if you review this business plan, what are some areas that need to be focused on? You can get that in a critique, and then a debate is going back and forth, giving you different perspectives about the sources. Again, these are all based on the sources. So, making note that the prompt that you use or the data that you put in is going to have a direct impact on the output that you get out. All right. So that's the audio overview. So now when we go to videos, and this is crazy. So if you go to video, as you can see, you have the icon here where you can change things. What I did was just click it, so it's already generating an overview, so it's going to pull information from all the sources. But if I click the pen, you can choose the animation on what the animation is that will be used. You can say, look, I want this to be an explaining type of video, so it gives you a structured overview, or it can give you a bite-sized overview, so it's like a couple minutes, but it's up to you. And again, it's looking at the sources that you've provided. So this is helpful for visual learners, are people who it's easier to hear or see the information. Again, pulling from all the sources that you have. Mind maps are really cool. So I'm a fan of mind maps. So what I just did was click it so I can show you what that looks like. But what it is a visual diagram that displays the relationships, hierarchies, and connections between your sources. The maps are interactive and they allow you to click on nodes and branches so you can get a deeper view of what you're studying. So if I click on right here, this mind map, as you can see, it goes into mind map form and it's gone and sorted the sources out in these high level spaces. So once you click on the arrow, it keeps breaking it down, right? To get to where you need to be, or hopefully based on what the topics are. So if I click unsupportive culture, it's going to go ahead and start pulling that information. So this is again great for a visual learner or people who like mind maps to start off with, which I do, or people who like to see connections in the research. So if you're doing a literature review or a noted a bibliography, if I could say it correctly, it can help you kind of make connections with that. As you can see here, it's giving me a readout of what an unsupportive culture was based on the sources. So if I click save to note, it can save that information to note. And now you have that information you can use however you need to use it, right? Reports is another one. So if you click report, it gives you some suggestions based on your sources. So first, it can give you an overview of all your sources. It can make a study guide for you. It can do a blog post. It could do a proposal, a white paper, informative text. So these are things that is suggesting to you based on what the sources are. But if you have a different idea, you can create your own, and it's you're going to tell it what you want your report to be. All right. So that's pretty straightforward. Flashcards and quizzes, these are going to be really helpful for people who are studying. Again, academic information. You can choose level of difficulty. You can choose the number of cards. If you want to focus on certain topics or chapters, you can put that in here too. Same thing for your quiz. If to adjust it, you click that pencil. Again, easy, medium, hard, and whatever focus you want it to be on. It looks like the video is still generating. Okay, so the next is infographic. Infographic and slide decks are again for me the meat and potatoes of the notebook because you're not going to find this level of quality in a free tool. So if I go to infographic, if I click on the little icon here, I can ask for a concise, standard, or detailed. It even gives you your orientation, right? And then you're going to focus on what you want it to focus on. So if I say just high level overview, and use the color blue. I don't know, just like blue, and hit generate. And it does its thing. It's going to do its thing. So we'll come back to that when it's done because it does take some time. But once you see the output, you'll see why. And then your slide deck, same thing. If you click over here, you can come down here. You have two options. You can have a detailed deck, which is a comprehensive deck, or you can do a presenter slides, which gives you visuals and talking points. So again, it depends on what you need and how you need to use it. The cool thing too is it's powered by Nano Banana. So you're going to get some quality imagery. It doesn't look template-ish like some other slide deck creations. And it really converts your notes and your sources into your presentation slides. So we'll just do the same thing. I'm just going to ask for a high level overview and hit generate. So we've talked about all of these main ones. Your data table is a newer addition to the source or the studio. And again, you can click your little icon here, whatever focus you want this information to be on. And what it's going to do, it's going to grab whatever that quantitative or the numbers in the data and create tables for you based on that, right? Like that's a game changer here. So, those are your different tools that are available to you in the studio. And as you can see, they're still generating. So, what we'll do here is give it a moment. And once they're done generating, I'll show you what that looks like. So, that's pretty much Notebook LM. Majority of everything I said you can use for free. It's free. Um, the better your prompts are for your sources or the information for your sources, the better experience you're going to have. So as we can see now that there's some that are already done. So we're going to look at the infographic first. And as you'll see, it's really clear. It's really straight to the point. I asked for high level. That's what it gave me. You do want to read because sometimes there might be errors in spelling. So again, you definitely, AI is a great thing, but you want to have human interaction with these things, right? Because you might find a misspelling, right? Or something just might seem off. So you're able to look and see, okay, here are the benefits, here are the challenges. This looks great. You can download it and use it. Pass it out during a presentation, right? So that's an example of the infographics. We're going to go here. This is the table. Now, how much time would it have taken to go through all of these sources and pull out all this information, right? Yeah, it probably would have took a lot of time. So that's your data table example. And then let's see if our slide deck and video are still going. So I'm going to pause here and we're going to come back when that's done. All right, so we have our next thing to show you, which is the video. It's done, so let's check it out. Let me make sure you all are able to hear it. So you can keep it in this little area or you can expand it right here where it says full screen. And this is what we get.
You know, for the longest time, teleworking felt like this niche idea, something only a handful of companies did. Then, almost overnight, it felt like everyone was doing it. So today, we're going to cut through all the noise and look at what the research actually says about working from home. First things first, let's make sure we're all on the same page.
So as you can see, I'm not going to play the whole thing. Again, being considerate of time. As you can see, it's very clear. You have an AI speaker. It's using again the data from the sources. So I will highlight it again. Whatever sources you use has a direct impact on the product you receive. So garbage in, garbage out, right? Let's not do that. So whatever you're putting in, if you want articles from academia and you want to make sure that is aligned with a time frame, if you want peer-reviewed journals, if you want to be specific about what journal you're using, you have to put it in the prompt. But as you can see, very clear visuals, the stats from the data. This is
Those
really
quick,
helpful
spontaneous conversations.
for people who are visual learners because now you have taken and condensed all those sources into one element here. And it's 5 minutes. Most of these videos go up to 8 minutes. So for the explainers, if you're getting one of the shorter ones, it's about to be 2 to 3 minutes. So it's really a good amount of information. And again, you can change the type of visual. Like I showed you how you can edit and play with the way it looks, depending on how you're going to use it, right? So to take it back off of that, that is the video. So now we want to see what our slide deck looks like. So when you're looking at the slide deck, this will save as a PDF. So when you create this, just have an awareness that this does save as a PDF. It doesn't save as a PowerPoint file. Just giving you a heads up there. So again, your slide deck looks like this. Again, pulling information and data from the sources and presenting it, and it's a very professional looking uh slide deck, right? I would have no problem presenting this and not feeling like it's template-ish. It's because it doesn't feel template-ish at all. And again, it's pulling from the sources you have provided it. I keep saying that because sometimes they'll have people come back and say, well, it didn't give me anything I wanted. My question is always, what did you put in? You only get out the quality you put in. But as you can see, the slide deck really clear, really easy to read. Again, you want to make sure you're having a human eye on this because you want to see if there's any misspellings or anything like that. I haven't run into that a lot at all, to be honest. But again, when you're doing anything using artificial intelligence, you do want human eyes on it. And I'm a firm believer is if you don't know the information, you shouldn't have AI doing it for you. It's not a replacement, it's an enhancement, right? You can even see how it sources using correct citing of the work. And it's pretty detailed. It gives you a good amount of slides. So you can use this to build on what you already have. You can use this to present information. You can use it as a learning or tutor, right? To kind of learn and see different aspects of the data that you have provided it. And as you can see, the sources that it used is at the end of the slide deck. So that's it. That's Notebook LM. We talked about the audio overview, the video, the reports, the quiz, flashcards, mind map, infographics, slide deck, and data table for free. For free. It really comes down to how many sources you want to use at a certain time, but definitely when I'm looking at 30 sources, that's a pretty good amount of sources, and it's free. Just throwing that out there. So hopefully this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions as it relates to Notebook LM, and I will see you all on our next walkthrough.